Father, I wanted you to help me deal with the feelings I'm experiencing. I lost my husband and also recently lost my son, and I'm having trouble coping with the grief. You would say, it's not easy indeed, my daughter. Losing two people who are so important in your life, it's like the structure of your home has somehow collapsed. And it takes time. The heart needs time. We cannot expect healing today if we need to go through the process that will result in healing. And grief, it's a process. What is a process? That it naturally needs to go through a process. When someone dies within our home, my people, the structure is completely changed. It's impressive how one person, if you remove just one person, it's impressive how the family structure is modified. And it's like a moving truck whose pumpkins in the back rearrange themselves as we hit the road. It's a rural language that I've seen a lot. Fill the truck with pumpkins, hit the road, they start shaking, making noise. Suddenly they settle down and you don't even remember that you had all those pumpkins behind. But until they settle, it makes a lot of noise. That's how it happens in our lives. Whenever someone is taken away, the truck makes noise. And we think that noise will be eternal. I remember the death of my sister when Heloisa died. It was so traumatic at home. It was so difficult to restore the house without her presence, even though she didn't live with us anymore. She lived in Belo Horizonte at the time, but you have to restructure your heart because the other person lives within us. Family is not just the place where people live in the same house. Family is when people live within each other. And when someone dies, we lose that tenant. You lose that presence that was within you. Of course, the longing will remain, but you don't embrace anymore. You don't find, you don't talk. So this organization of mourning, it will need to go through the process of getting used to the absence. And in your case, Jose, you are still going through the harsh experience of losing two people in a very recent period. My daughter, you will have to have a lot of patience with your feelings. This won't change overnight. You will have to accommodate these two people in your longing, in your feelings, so that you can continue your life as it was before. Of course, it will never be the same, because it can't. It's not for those who haven't lost either. Life is not the same. Life can never be the same, even for those who haven't lost. Life is always in motion. Just the other day, a friend of mine found out her son was ill. She was devastated. The same illness her husband had, which was extremely painful for them, she found out her son had too. What to say? Of course, we say, I'm with you, I'm praying with you, but that's a dilemma she will need to face. No matter how much I love her, I cannot enter her heart and live that suffering for her. I even took her in all the intentions of my masses during the pilgrimage. And I asked God, I asked Our Lady in a special way, since we were in Marian territories, that Our Lady would do in her heart what God did in your heart when accompanying the agony of your son. The boy's illness is not a death sentence, but it touches on hardship. It touches on suffering. We don't want our children to be ill. After the news, which at first seems like the end of the world, then because we are people of faith, our process is to rebuild reality, and we come out of it even better. So we can never want life as it was before. That's something for children. That's an illusion. Life will never be the same for those who have lost and for those who haven't. We need to adapt to the movements that time has made, always in the daily effort to put soul into our body, to give meaning to our life, to never allow difficulties, losses to prevail over all of this. Now, my daughter, as time goes by, we mature with the event. When God has the opportunity to act in our lives in these moments of pain, it's amazing how we are changed for the better. And this is possible, yes, not only because it happened in my life, but because it happened in the lives of thousands of people who give wonderful testimonies of overcoming, who help us understand the pedagogical dimension of pain, of suffering. It's the proof before our eyes of many people who have also gone through the harsh experience of losing children, husbands, mothers, siblings, boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses, and after continuing existence. Now, Patience with the process is important. I cannot anticipate this healing. It's like the healing process. A friend of mine, Adelina, my travel companion from Fortaleza, spontaneous all the time. That's why I liked her from the first time I saw her. She wears her heart on her sleeve. And then, after one of my preachings during the pilgrimage, she gave me a little note with just one sentence like this: "What doesn't inflame cannot be cured." Inflammation is the body's first movement to be healed in what has been hurt. So, inflammation is a manifestation of the body's own immunity, wanting to expel what is attacking the flesh. And it is indeed. A simple little sentence made me remember that sometimes when we were kids, we'd get a thorn in us. That thorn hurt. Hurt for 2-3 days until it turned yellow, and then the secretion itself would work to expel that relief. We squeezed it, it all came out, that ugly thing. The thorn came out, and that's it. The body was there, without pain. It's like that nasty pimple on your face. It hurts, 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 hurts. And you go there, do everything wrong, give it a squeeze. Isn't it, Christian? Almost breaks the mirror. Relief. Dermatologists shouldn't even hear us talking. They can't know that we do that, no. But when you have that inflamed thing, when you go there, give it a prick like this. After the inflammation is the movement of healing. In our hearts, when we lose someone, we are inflamed with pain. And if we allow that inflammation to go through the natural process of expelling, of throwing away what is infected in us, our future will not be like before. I repeat, even for those who haven't lost, it's not the same, but we can make that future worth it. I am a very sad person. Besides this married talk, when I got married, with 1 year of marriage, I lost my first child. Then I went through a lot of sadness. Because of that, I spent over a year with a lot of depression, a lot of sadness. Then other children came, 4 daughters came. I raised them all well. When it was this year, which ended yesterday, from January 11th, I lost Vider's grandson to drowning, right, at 4.5 years old. This father has greatly affected my life. I was very sad, very shaken, very shocked. I almost died. Even today, I carry this sadness within me. I really wanted to live this father. This child has stirred me deeply. It was like this. It was worse than my son's case. It was much worse because it was like this. My son's death was sudden because he drank a porridge and then he didn't choke. But the porridge he drank was ingested into his lungs. And my grandson's death was a drowning death, a death that I found very sudden, very abrupt. So I couldn't accept this. Then I became a person against God, full of anger, full of resentment, of sadness, of revolt. You know, Father, I used to be a very godly person, very prayerful. Then I blamed myself a lot. Why? Why did I blame myself? Because I thought I had prayed too little, blamed the person, blamed God. I thought God should have gone there and taken him out of that water, saved my grandson. So, Father, it was so hard. We made it 4.5 years. It was very hard for me. It's still very hard, asking God to help me, to enlighten me from yesterday to today, for me to get rid of this sadness, this anguish. It's a very heavy burden on my shoulders. This sadness, this anguish comes and goes. For me, it's a very, very heavy burden. I need to get better from this because I can't go on like this, because otherwise I won't resist, Father. I won't die of sadness, of suffering, and I can't go on like this. And there you go. Now I want you to call me. What should I do, Father? FG. Mrs. Maria, the first thing that is very beautiful already to identify in you is the desire to change. Every time we are faced with an event that traumatizes us, that takes the ground from under us, because an event like this takes our ground, an innocent, a person we love, dead there. I'm remembering Mother. Our friend from Sergipe also, who went through the same experience, and she took her son out of the water. She was the one who took him out, a dead boy. I heard this story, and I had the opportunity to be with this woman, who is the mother of this boy, on the banks of the Jordan River when we went to the Holy Land. And I remember that when I baptized her, The word that came to me was this. I poured the water from the Jordan River over her head, and I said to her like this, take your son out of the water once and for all. Because from the time of the boy's life, of the boy's death, until that day, she was keeping the boy drowned. She didn't take him out of the pool because she only lived around that. She didn't do anything else. She lived all the time the experience of drowning. It's that old story, right, folks? The event is there, and I can't detach from it. So, no matter how long it has been, the boy is still drowned, the boy is still in the water. Before that word, she decided to react. And it was very beautiful to hear this from them. Father, we are very grateful that that word helped my sister to continue her life. Mrs. Maria Duzzy, I wish I could take this pain out of your heart, but maybe you can also start taking your grandson out of the water. Don't keep him drowned anymore. Don't put your thoughts anymore. Don't fix your idea, your story in his drowning. First thing, remove the guilt. There's no need to find blame for such a tragic story. Even if you find out who's to blame, it won't bring the boy back. It won't solve our pain? No. What we need to do now is to continue life from what we have. We can't take the boy out of there anymore. We can't resurrect him anymore. And we can't bring him back to life. There was no time to do anything, but now there's a beautiful way to make resurrection happen. Restoring life in the family, bringing the joy back. Because we all are deprived, Mrs. Maria Dulce. When we have someone at home who cannot live through the process of loss, all of us around are harmed. We are harmed. And it's beautiful for you to say, I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to be a sad person. This reaction is already God's action in you. The time of revolt, it's part of life. We are human. We are fragile. We will revolt. We will scream. We will blaspheme. But this has to be temporary. Screaming and blasphemy don't heal our hearts. No. What heals our hearts is the prayer of surrender. And this must be your prayer, your daughter's prayer. Lord, I cannot change the death of my grandson, so I want to entrust him to you. I want you to take care of him and remove this guilt from us. Grant us the grace to continue living without needing to find someone to blame for this tragedy. Entrusting to God does not mean we alienate ourselves. No, we only entrust to God what cannot be fixed anymore, because the rest we do, we run after because He is helping us to achieve it. But what cannot be fixed anymore, leave it in His hands. Remove that weight from you. You are trying to solve the problem, and there's no way to solve this problem. There's no way to bring this boy back. So today, removing him definitely from the waters is to accept that death happened, but that now we want to continue life, qualifying our daily lives, our history, preparing our future in a more beautiful way. Entrust this dear grandson of yours to the Lord and see him as an intercessor praying for you. He is a legitimate representative in the heaven, a legitimate representative of the family who is in heaven without suffering. There's nothing bad, only us here who need to deal with this pain.